The man was in the process of posting the manuscript of his novel when he noticed that the recipient's face looked strangely distorted. Immediately afterwards, the staff around him began to stare at him with a look that was, to say the least, unsettling. Before he even had time to react, everyone rushed to grab tools and began smashing everything up inside. In a matter of moments, the post office was nothing but a pile of rubble. In reality, this man's name was Jack, a writer specializing in horror novels. That day, he had received a letter from a fan. On the front, a photo of a hotel, and on the back, these words scrawled: "Whatever you do, don't try to enter room 1408, or you will attract evil spirits." Jack added up the digits of the room number and came up with 13, a number with particularly sinister connotations. But Jack, for his part, didn't believe a word of these ghost stories, and so he went to the hotel. When the manager learned that Jack was determined to stay in room 1408, he took him into his office. He explained that, since the hotel opened, more than 60 people had died in mysterious circumstances in that room. He then produced some documents and photographs, suggesting that Jack photograph them to include in his future novel, whilst begging him to give up on that room. But Jack remained unshakable and insisted on staying there. The manager, having no other choice, went to fetch the key, which had remained sealed away, and went up with him in the lift. Once they reached the floor, the manager made it clear that he would not set foot in that cursed place again. Jack therefore found himself alone as he made his way to the room. Once through the door, he meticulously inspected every corner of the room and, finding nothing out of the ordinary, lay down on the bed. It was then that a shrill sound rang out from the radio. Seized by panic, Jack rushed to switch it off. A 1-hour countdown suddenly appeared on the screen. He then decided to film everything that was about to happen. Jack approached the bed to check something, but the window slammed shut on his hand, trapping it. After managing to free himself with difficulty, he rushed to the bathroom to rinse his wound with water. But suddenly, the tap water turned to boiling water. At that moment, Jack was truly gripped by fear. He plugged the tap with whatever he could find and tried to leave the room. When he reached the door, he realized it was impossible to open. It was then that he saw a ghostly figure leap out of the window. Realizing that there was nothing normal about this room, Jack slipped out of the window himself, hoping to reach the next room. He moved forward cautiously, pressing himself against the wall, but discovered that the window next door had simply vanished. The whole building seemed to have shrunk down to just room 1408. With no other choice, Jack had to turn back. Just as he didn't know what to do, the printer started up. As he approached, he saw a piece of clothing slowly emerging from it. It was the one his daughter had been wearing. Always traveling far and wide for his work, Jack had always felt he wasn't there enough for her, and it had been gnawing at him for a long time. When he reached the living room, he discovered that the whole room was covered in frost. At that very moment, the entire room began to collapse violently, and a mass of seawater poured in. Jack then lost consciousness. When he woke up, he found himself in hospital. He thought he'd merely had a nightmare. Once he got home, Jack turned this experience into a novel, and it was on his way to the post office to send off his manuscript that the scene from the beginning took place.